Good evening, Mayor Shaughnessy. It's been a long time. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, we go way back, 203, 206.
9 years ago.
206, yep.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for this opportunity, councillors, for allowing me to present to you a presentation about our food inspection mandates and some of the changes that we'd like to instill, some of which are groundbreaking in terms of leading the province, in terms of some of the work that we'll be doing. Next slide, please. As you know, our mandate is we have a wide mandate under the Health Protection and Promotion Act, and specifically in terms of food premise regulation, we have a mandate to inspect all food premises in the Eastern Ontario Health Unit catch basin, which is Cornwall, Prescott Russell, and SDNG. All in all, we're looking at about 1,400 food premises in our area, and we have about 12 public health inspectors that do the work and are actually quite engaged in educating and more than enforcing in terms of being able to satisfy the requirements of being able to have a functioning restaurant. So the elements of the inspection essentially are dictated to us by law, and essentially we'll look at general food safety, looking at effective pest control program in place, food source and supply has to be approved, sanitation, design, maintenance, garbage and waste management. Next slide, please. And essentially there are 43 items on the checklist when we visit restaurants or food premises, and the frequency with which we visit them depends on the risk of the premise. So, for example, if a high-risk premise serves raw food, chicken, and so on, a low-risk premise serves food that's not prepared on site. So we have different visiting schedules. Some are done 3 times a year, some are done twice a year, some are done once a year. And in a sense, we look at critical and non-critical elements. So, for example, a critical element would be if the food is not cooked properly. If, for example, there are pest excrements everywhere. Non-critical would be there's a crack in the wall, and so on. And so we look at that in our judgment, and so on. Next, please. We were one of the first health units, and by the way, the Ministry of Health and Long-Term Care had requested as part of its amendment to the Ontario Public Health Standards, which dictates the mandates that we need to enforce, essentially have asked us to sign accountability agreement indicators which we offer a disclosure system to the public, and they have the right to know where they go and eat, if the food premises pass its inspection, and so on. And we were one of the first health units back in 2013 to have an online disclosure system where you can go online and search any food premise in our area, and you'll see the results. And you can go to the next slide, please. So essentially, up until now, we say you're in compliance. And compliance means that you've satisfied the requirements, and we think that it's a safe place for you to handle and serve and deliver food. The next slide, please. This shows an example of a restaurant that's not in compliance, and essentially not in compliance means they've had either one critical element or 3 non-critical elements that are not checked off as being up to snuff, if you'd like, in terms of meeting the regulations. And so up until right now, this is the system that we've had, and the public and a lot of other health units have been actually asking us, well, it's not fair. If I have a mobile phone or I'm online, I can have access to these. But if I'm walking down the street, or if I'm a tourist in the area and I want to be able to see if a restaurant has passed its test, how do I do that? And so one of the things that I started to work with the ministry about 4 years ago was trying to look at a provincial approach of being able to have an on-site food signage. And the next slide, please. And the next slide, and this essentially kind of looks at how we've done it. And the ministry got together. We formed a committee, and at that point in time, they said, well, we will look at signage on restaurants on an individual basis. Health units should do it on their own. Subsequently, multiple health units, and I'll show you, have adopted a signage system. But I was a bit disappointed because I wanted to have a provincial approach at that time where all restaurants have the same. So, for example, if you go to Toronto right now, they have a They have a food safe or dine safe approach where they have a green, yellow, and red sign, and you can see Durham, Halton, Hamilton, London, Lambton, Peel, Simcoe, Muskoka, Toronto, York, and Windsor. And if you look at the populations, they represent a significant proportion of the population of Ontario that has on-site signage of restaurant inspections. So what we wanted to do proactively was to do it on our own, and hopefully the province would follow suit. Now, a couple of days before I made this presentation, the ministry sent us a memo saying that they want to enact this as part of our HPPA obligations. For example, we have the right to close a restaurant. We have the right to inspect a restaurant. We have the right to, take food, confiscate food. But under the HPPA, I don't have the right to impose signage posting of a restaurant. That will be changed in a couple of years, but I'm not sure when the ministry will do that. But the ministry has asked us to start looking at that ourselves. And so I took it upon myself to discuss this with our other partner health units, Toronto, Ottawa, Leeds, Grenville, Brockville, Kingston as well, and they are actually going to be following our lead, where what we want to do is we want to have a signage system. Can you go to the next slide, please? That basically mimics what Toronto has and others have. Next slide, please. Where we'd have a green. We'd ask the operator to post a sign visibly at the entrance of the premise, where a green would say they've passed, and pass means they're substantial for compliance with the food regulation. And this is not unfamiliar to you who've gone to Toronto or Peel and you've seen these. Next slide, please. This is the yellow one, so it would essentially be there'd be a conditional pass where there would be a significant non-compliance, where 3 or more items are not compliant, or 1 critical or more are not compliant. And in this situation, what we would do is we would ask them to post this sign. It would be on the website as well. And we would return within a specified period of time to reassess. If the items are not corrected, then there would be progressive fines and so on, as per the law requires. And this is the protocol that Toronto has done, and this assures uniformity. The next slide, please. This would be, if obviously in the rare occasion that we would have to close the premise, this would be posted as such. Right now, we have a similar system, but it's not color-coded, and it's only available online. Our plan is to roll this out into our area this year. Next slide, please. Just want to show you what it would look online. So the online version would be congruent with that. So the green would be a pass. Next slide, please. A yellow would be a conditional pass, and a red, I don't think I have one, would be obviously closed. And so what we're trying to do right now is, I'll tell you the plan and how we move forward, is we are going to be sending out information packages to all premises in the area, which explains exactly what I've explained to you. And we want to roll out this program across all our 5 counties and areas that we serve. In addition, we will modify our website. And what we'd like to do is, although I think we will publicize this and people will know about this and request it, we would like to request the City of Cornwall, and we're going to be doing the same for SDNG and Prescott Russell. I validate met the wardens there to modify their bylaws. If you go back, can you please go back to the couple of slides previously, please? Couple more. One more. That one. As you can see, because we do not have the power at this moment of the HPPA to be able to enforce the signage, we'd like the City of Cornwall and the other 2 counties to follow, the United Counties to follow suit, where they would enact a bylaw, just modify the bylaw that right now demands that the food premise can't open without our inspection, obviously, and can't be kept open without our ongoing inspection. That would require them to post it in a visible place. And secondly, to also require 1 food handler to have training for food handling courses. And this is what we'd like to do, and requesting from the City of Cornwall. I've already met with the bylaw officer and submitted to him some sample bylaw amendments from the City of London and a few other cities. and we think that we'll be leading the way in Eastern Ontario. I want to stress that we will be doing this as of late this year to all the food premises, progressively starting, like I said, from the high risk, medium risk, and then progressively to all of them over the next 4 to 6 months, but starting this year. And we are going to be followed closely by our partner health units across the border in Brockville and so on, but we will be the first out. And so we're requesting the support of the City of Cornwall to be able to help us enforce this bylaw. I think in a couple of years, and it brings you back to the smoking bylaws, in a couple of years there will be an HPPA amendment that does this provincially, but in the interim I think we need to be moving forward. Our mandate is to provide equitable health protection services and information and disclosure and transparency. This is what the ministry is asking us. Eventually we will also be putting signage on personal service settings as well, and pools and everything else we inspect, and that's a ministry mandate for us. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Questions? Councillor Elaine McDonald.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A comment first and then a question. I think this is wonderful, and I think that there's just nobody in Eastern Ontario who's already doing it. And I know when I'm in Toronto, I'm really always assured by that little piece of paper that's very close to the door. So thank you for your leadership in asking us to do this. My question has to do with the training.
Yes.
Are you thinking of like a course at the college, for example?
No, we provide the training. We actually have a course. They pay $25, and we provide the training, and we certify them, and they do have a certified. So we're asking, and this is what more and more health units are doing as well, because when they've opened the bylaw, they insert that as well. It's really to ensure that the food handlers, at least one of them, understands some basic food handling precautions, and we actually are, and that food training is a provincial mandated training that we deliver, and I sign the certificates.
Okay, good. And that's not already a requirement?
No, it's not.
Okay. So, and if they do get a license, you know, that they pass the course, that's good forever?
That is good for yes, forever actually. That one.
Okay.
Yes.
Because there's a real high turnover in
Yes.
the food industry. So.
But we'd like to see proof of a recent one, and I can get back to you on how long it lasts, because this is a new approach that we've had.
Okay.
But I understand that that's something important that we'll look at.
Yeah. Well, if it's in order, I'd love to make the motion now that we implement this as a bylaw as quickly as Dr. Paul can get it.
I think what the proper procedure, or whatever the procedure practice pass, is that we refer it to administration for a report, and then administration brings it back in report form.
I'd like to do that, to refer to
Okay. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to refer to administration for a report, seconded by Councillor Rovette. Okay. Now we'll continue with questions. Councillor Murphy, then Councillor Towndale.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, through you. Thank you very much for the presentation. I'm proud to say I'm food handler certified. I thought there was a 5-year limit, but maybe that was just because it's
I'm not sure if it's 3 or 5. That's why I wasn't sure.
Okay.
I'll verify that and get
I've
back.
taken it twice, that's why I know. Now, you do mention, for non-compliance, just out of curiosity, you mentioned you go back and a fine is imposed.
Yes.
Is it a set value? Is it dependent on what the infraction?
It depends on what the infraction is, but the procedure will be that everybody will be doing it. So we will actually have uniformity of an approach.
Is there an appeals mechanism?
There is an appeals mechanism. There's an appeals mechanism to closure as well, but they have to close before they appeal. Like, in other words, they have to close and then go appeal.
Well, and you get the yellow card before you appeal.
Of course.
Then you appeal, then okay.
Yes.
Right.
Sorry, just to let you know, right now we don't issue a yellow, but we go back anyway, because if there's more than 2 or 3 non-compliant, there's a follow-up. So essentially, if you ask me how many would be yellow, I would say less than 8 to 10% would be yellow. The remainder would be green.
Yeah. Okay, I think it's a good program, and it's about time the province finally catch up to what we should be doing. It was like smoking bylaw, like you said. It was a long time coming. Municipalities taking it, and then everybody comes out with different ideas. As we saw in your list of municipalities, depending on where you are, you cross the line, and it's a different set of rules, and that's just not level playing field. I can appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Towndale.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I agree. I think it's a great program. I was living in Toronto when they started to implement it, and I saw the rollout, and it does affect your decisions on where you will eat and shop. And I guess my question is just to confirm, this will apply to supermarkets as well, corner stores?
All food premises, including supermarkets, hospital, any premise that we are mandated to inspect. And one of the things in Toronto, one of the reasons they actually implemented this was because they were having a lot of problems, and they were having higher rates of food poisoning. As a matter of fact, most food poisoning goes undetected. So the rates that we have right now are probably quadruple because people don't realize it's food poisoning. I think it's a gastro.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Councillor Yvette?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sitting on the health board, I can tell you that all the directors on the board from all the counties are on board with this thing, and they think it's a great thing to bring up. I think all we're trying to do is make sure that the people using those restaurants feel comfortable that they're reading and everything, they meet all the specifications needed to have a clean facility. So I fully support that.
Thank you.
Councillor McIntosh?
Through you, Mr. Mayor. I get this now. Every restaurant, every hot dog stand.
Yes, what we'll do, we will progressively go to the hot dog stands, but if they're operating seasonally, they will be inspected. We inspect them anyway. The question will be, what do we do with special, for example, the plying match? Because they're either open or closed, we're going to create special signage that's going to say it's been inspected. Because for the plying match, for example, we had to inspect 32 restaurants in a span of 12 hours, and so those are portable. And there we won't give the green. You're either open or closed.
Yeah.
So we will say that they've been inspected. But the other ones that are seasonal, yes, they follow.
Do you have any idea? Well, you must have an idea. I don't know if you have it on hand. How many places in Cornwall, in the city?
You know what? I don't know. I can tell you the total is 14 to 1,500. I would estimate probably about a couple hundred.
A couple hundred.
Yeah.
So how many? Now, the city bylaw is going to be engaged in this. The bylaw department.
Yes.
Enforcing it.
Yes. That's the thing as well. I don't have a power to enforce it at this point. I'm hoping that it's not going to require city bylaw enforcement, but we don't have any other way of forcing the food premise to do it other than a bylaw or a provincial amendment, which won't happen in a couple of years.
The only problem I have, a great program. The only problem I have, city bylaw seems to be running behind as it is, and you're going to get in 200 more places, or maybe not maybe.
Well, I think
the yellow guys, the guys who get the yellow card.
I think it'd be complaint-based, number one. I don't think we do expect the city bylaw offices are. We don't go in and do it routinely. It would be complaint-based. Secondly, I think that media is here. People will know about it, and market pressure will actually give no choice.
Yeah, I agree with you. No, when you get a yellow card, there's a follow-up inspection.
Yes.
What is the time frame between the card and the secondary inspection, which could, if it lingered on for 2 or 3 months, that's a business.
Right. No, actually, the time frame, we deliberately avoided putting a specific one, but we want to ensure that it's within 24 to 72 hours. It depends on the actual infraction itself, but it's going to be a quick turnaround, and we expect it to be quick because right now we go back and it keeps coming back. So what we want to do is we want to reduce the number of people that have return visits that we do that keep being non-compliant.
Yeah. There's no chance of liability here, is there? Because just say a guy with a green card had a banquet, there was food poisoning at night, people would say, hey, you said they were okay.
Well, you know what? There are many factors. As a matter of fact, we visited a few other. We had a couple of outbreaks that we thought the caterer who we had inspected, but indeed it wasn't. It was norovirus. There are multiple causes. Now we can't identify all the causes, but there are certain outbreaks, for example, that we thought were food poisoning, but were not. They were actually norovirus. Somebody came in and they spread it to each other like you get on cruise ships, for example.
Yeah, it's a good program.
Thank you.
Councillor Yvette?
Just a question, Dr. Paul, when it comes to the hot dog stands, I know with the Optimist Club we do a lot of hot dog things. I know that there's 3 or 4 of them from there had taken the course. The 2 guys were given. So that course is available.
Yes, it's available to everybody.
Available to everybody. So
yeah, and we
anybody at a hot
encourage.
dog stand, well, tell them it's available.
Okay, Councillor DeBell?
Thank you, Dr. Paul. Very good presentation. So I'm just wondering what the criteria will be then for, say, charity events where they're having barbecues.
Okay, charity events. There are some that are exempt from the Food Safety Act, for example, and so we exempt those. What we tell them those they need to put a signage that it's not been inspected.
Okay.
So that's how we handle them. Home canning, farmers market, churches, those have been exempted. However, we have worked with an increasing number of those organizations, and we actually give them training for the food handlers. At least the people will know, so they can they can get people will be reassured that at least they've had the training.
So then your local fundraising events won't be effective?
No. As a matter of fact, many of them call us voluntarily because we want to help them. We don't want to close them down. We want to help them.
Great. Thank you. Great program.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Paul. Some of my questions were answered. The most important one being is if you go in someplace and you give them a yellow, red. Well, the doors are closed.
Well, red, they're
so we're
closed.
gonna know. But as far as yellow, the time frame, because that's important to business, or whatever is, and the opportunity to move up quickly. So it's great that they'll be dealt with right away. I remember back in my years on the health unit, you had a hard time finding and recruiting public health inspectors or whatever. Has that cleared up?
No, it hasn't cleared up. Unfortunately, we still have challenges. We need to hire bilingual inspectors, obviously, especially for Prescott Russell, and we're still struggling. We now just hired one more. I think we're one short, and we have struggles. We really struggle trying to recruit public health inspectors. Public health inspectors are a premium across Canada, and even more so when you want to do bilingual.
Yeah, because that would, in an issue of getting back to people or whatever, if you can't find the employees, it puts a big strain on the existing employees, and then I just want to ensure that those things happen, regardless.
Well, we're better than it was when I inherited it.
Yeah.
I think that we have mechanisms in place. A lot of the work now that's been done is all computerized, so it's quicker, so they're more efficient and working at efficiencies. And certainly, we're very much aware of the business aspect of it. I come from grocery business. I grew up in the restaurant business as being Greek, so I'm very much aware of the business. The business. We're not here to put people out of business. We're here to protect people.
Mm-hmm. And Councillor Rivette had indicated that everybody on the board, the politicians or whatever that sit on the board, and I'm sure the public appointees also are be fine. Has this come to Prescott Russell? Have
Yes.
you been brought
I
to
brought
that?
it. Actually, the warden sits on our board at
Yes.
this point, and what we'll be doing is, as well as the warden of SDNG, I've actually spoken to both of them personally.
Yeah.
And we will be using actually the template bylaw here. So it'll be the same. And I'll be presenting to all the CAOs simultaneously, because I'd have to go to each individual municipality. We're trying to find out if we could do it through the counties, or we can't, but I will be presenting through the counties, so then each municipality can enact it.
Okay. So then, do you have any idea when that bylaw is going to be to us?
We're ready. We've actually submitted the bylaw to. We submitted the templates.
Okay.
To one of the bylaw, to Chris Rogers, who came and visited me.
Okay.
And so as soon as you're ready, he's ready to write it and promote it. We'd welcome it.
And then now to the CAO, when do you feel that this will be coming to council? We're approving a report, so when would?
Well, I think I'd like to talk to Chris to see if he's able to provide it for the next meeting. Not sure. I don't know.
Or is it safer to go, because there will be a report also, so are we going to go to the first or the second meeting in October?
Mr. Mayor, we would certainly try to make the next meeting.
Okay.
This will obviously involve some working with Dr. Paul. We do have a strong direction from the templates you have already provided, but obviously we'll coordinate and such that we will come to council with not only a report but a draft of the bylaw.
So, if I may, Mr. Mayor, perhaps it would be safe to say in October.
Okay, in the month of October. First